Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today I have a special guest with me. You can introduce yourself.
Oh, Dream.
Today I'm going to do something a little different. Well, actually I had recorded a video on this at first, but then I felt like the topic needed some more research behind it. I didn't want to sound ignorant because I told her I felt like I sounded ignorant, trying to give my opinions and my beliefs on it, but not knowing the background. And I just wanted to explain it a little more for people, and you can move how you want to move off of that. So I started off asking everyone to provide me with, little ideas or situations that are in their life that they would love for me to speak on, and I wanted to pretty much set it up like a life coaching session. And so this video is going to be called Viewer's Choice. So there was a person that came to me about polygamy. I told them I would touch on it. Now, my opinion still don't change on it. I still have the same opinion on it, even after doing the research, because I just don't believe in it myself. How you feel about it?
I don't believe in it either.
Okay. So I think in polygamy, it kind of benefits the man more, just in my opinion. So more women than none are going to probably not really agree with it because it doesn't benefit them as much. I mean, they do have, I think it's called polyandry or however you pronounce it. That's when a woman actually has two husbands, but you're not going to hear about that. You're going to hear about it from the male perspective more than the women's. And then there was someone else that asked me to speak on how to move on, which that is something that I don't need to do research on because I've had to do it myself, and just life experiences will teach you eventually how to move on. If you've ever been in a breakup, if you have had friendships that didn't work out, or even family. But yeah, so I'm going to start off by talking about polygamy. I'm going to start off by giving some of the research that I did on it, and then kind of go over our opinions on it based off of the information that I looked up. So for people that don't know what polygamy is the practice of having more than one wife or husband at the same time. Mormons, who called it plural marriage in the 19th century, polygamy was practiced by leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and they now call it the LDS Church. So when you hear me say LDS, that is Latter-day Saints. The private practice of polygamy was instituted in the 1830s by founder Joseph Smith, and for over 60 years, the LDS Church and the U.S. were at odds over the issue. In 1862, the U.S. States Congress passed the Morrill Anti-Bigamy Act, which prohibited plural marriage in Utah. Church President Wilford Woodruff, I don't know how you pronounce his name, I guess that's how you pronounce it, issued a manifesto terminating the practice of polygamy. Once the relations between the U.S. and Utah improved, Utah then became a U.S. state in 1896. So that's some history for y'all, because I didn't know that. I didn't know, I don't really know the history behind, I'm kind of ignorant to that too. I don't know how certain states became a part of the U.S., which, I've learned it, of course, in school, but I don't remember it all because I don't use it in real life now. So Joseph F. Smith, the guy who founded polygamy, then disavowed polygamy before Congress, and the second manifesto he created called to seize polygamy and established excommunication as the consequence. So the LDS now state monogamy is a standard doctrine. So now they pretty much believe in monogamy in the LDS Church, but then there are some people who still practice it on their own, like they have their own personal practice and beliefs on it.
He founded this in the States because back home, aka Nigeria or Africa, they've been doing this. It's literally our norm. So.
And if some of you guys listened to my last video, I did bring up that in certain cultures and religions, they do practice it. So that's why I was giving the person the advice based on that, but I didn't know like the background of it. But I do know, just generally speaking, I do know that people do practice it based off of like culture and religion, but I just still don't have that belief in it, even though I know that, because that's not my beliefs. So the Mormons' reason for practicing polygamy was that if it was the will of God, then it would be accepted. So they didn't really have a real reason. I mean, God is the reason for a lot of things, but I don't think He's the reason behind polygamy. I just don't agree with that. And so there is polyandry, which I brought up at first, when women marry more than one husband at a time, which we rarely hear about. And then there's polygamy, the definition of men with multiple wives, and the reason for it is sexual and reproductive, rather economic and productive, which means that it doesn't benefit you really, like as far as when it comes to finances, and it just pretty much benefits you sexually and to reproduce children. So the effects will make the husband distribute limited resources among the women compared to monogamy, which means that if he has multiple wives, guess what? It's going to be limited. The attention and the resources are going to be limited amongst the women that are in the situation. So guess what? The man, to me, when I hear that, is going to benefit more than the woman is in the situation. It doesn't sound like to me that the woman would benefit from being in a situation with another woman, not only from an emotional standpoint, but also being taken care of. Like, I don't think nobody wants to be in a situation where they are not getting the person that they're with. I feel like their full attention and they have to split it up between somebody else. But
I feel like for men, it's more of a benefit for them, but at the same time, it's stressful. That has to be stressful. Even if, you're sexually, well or satisfied by these multiple women, like to be able to take care of all of them, because one woman brings a lot of stress. I couldn't imagine what it would be like to be a man and have to be responsible for different women. So even though it benefits them, I guess that's why God called men to till the land, because you're going to do what you got to do. And everyone in that situation, even back home, is not always financially equipped to handle such responsibilities like that. So that's why I'm like, on both ends, it's like good and bad. Even if you are financially equipped, that mental stress is a lot. However, nowadays I feel like women who are knowingly and willingly committed to this polygamous situation, they're like kind of all together on it. So everyone, it's definitely different. I feel like we've changed the game on polygamy, and it's no longer frowned upon. Women would tell you, yes, that's our girlfriend, or, we take care of her, we love her, all that stuff. Kudos. She has the mental space to do that. He has the mental space to do that. And the girlfriend is happy to be that third wheel who's kind of introduced as an equal, to each their own though.
So I also seen it was, that's crazy that you said that, because there's also something called polygamy, polyamor, something. Look it up, guys. It's pretty much swingers. So it's a married couple, and I think nowadays a lot of people are like doing that more. They're getting married and then they're bringing people.
Who taught y'all this?
They're getting married and they're bringing people into the relationship without any emotional attachment, but they're not knowing that that's creating soul ties, which is binding you to people and their issues and whatever emotional traumas they have. And it's bringing it into your relationship. And then people are like, oh, we're good. We like it. We're happy with it. But then when you think about it later on down the line, that does cause some type of friction. Because then you wonder why people do that. And then the man go off and sleep with the woman that they was having, they were being swingers with.
So have you ever been asked to be a third wheel before? I have.
Yeah.
Plenty of times.
I have.
And every time I give this rationale, one, I don't want your man. Okay, I want my own. However, let's say I wasn't who I was, right? And because a lot of people trust me, right? But I always let them know I am trustworthy. However, don't trust me, don't trust nobody. Mm-hmm. Because if you bring me into this situation, right? And let's say for whatever reason it's me and the girl. You brought me into the situation, but I like men more, right? And then now dealing with, we're all dealing with each other. But I'm kind of feeling this man more, you know what I'm saying? And let's say another day, me and him are alone somewhere, I see him out, and you're not there. Am I supposed to remember? Oh, like you just can't give people that kind of trust. You have now opened a door.
Yeah, that's what it, yeah.
And like you
open
can't
the door.
blame me because I'm single. I'm out here. I ain't asked being this. Y'all asked me. And shoot, he's already been with me in such an intimate way. I mean, what's the difference? And even though I wouldn't do it, and if I was to ever do something like that, I would be considerate. Everybody. Now, I mean, you don't even have to be polygamous for a man to go out and do stuff like that. So I just, hope people are open-minded to what they're allowing. You might have boundaries. That's your boundaries, okay? Yeah. And people that might have respected that in the beginning, things happen, okay? People are human, flesh. So I just always let people know, like, be careful what you allow.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I don't want to sound or come off as judgmental because it's my opinion and my belief. Because, like, we were just talking to her mom earlier. We were having a long discussion, and she was saying everybody has free will, which God did give us all free will to do what we want to do. So it's your choice to do whatever you want to do. So if you want to be a part of a situation where polygamy is involved, that is your choice, if that's what you believe in. But I do believe that for me, I don't agree with it because I just don't see myself. I don't want my man spreading himself thin and not giving me the attention that I would want in a relationship. I feel like there's not enough to go around when a man is splitting himself between multiple women. And then just in general, I just don't want to share my man. Like, I don't want nobody else touching my man, having sex with my man. I don't need all those different energies intertwined.
Okay.
To me,
it's mine.
Yeah, like, I don't want to intertwine all of that. So I just feel like, so for the person who asked me to speak on this because they're interested, because I'm going to give you, because you asked me because you were interested in it. And so those are my opinions. I gave you some of the facts and the information behind it. And you asked me, is it accepted in society?
It is.
Now, it's accepted to a certain extent. I feel like people are kind of like bandwagoners. If people be like, oh yeah, well, this is what's good and what's popping now. And, we're not going to condemn people because we shouldn't judge. We're not God. Everyone's going to think like that. But come on now, everyone has their real opinion about things like that. Most people are not going to, they're going to say that they don't want to condemn the person that's in the situation. But at the same time, your opinion, most people's opinions are going to be that I couldn't do it. You can do it, but I don't want to do it. And that's my opinion. Like, you can do it, but I would not do it.
If you have the mental capacity and the people that you involve are okay with it, you know what I'm saying? Then cool. Mm-hmm. If it works for you guys, that's all that matters. Mm-hmm. But one thing I do want to say, like I said earlier, it's okay for us not to agree. And I'm okay if I see it being done and the couple, they're happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't see any stress that comes from it. This is what comes naturally to them. That's awesome. I would not do it. I do not condone it. But if it makes you happy, it's not affecting me in any kind of way. Okay? So yeah, I just feel like, don't feel like that's what you want to do and then get somebody else involved who has not agreed to this. So just find people that are of your liking, and that's fine.
Yeah, you have to.
Society don't have to agree with nothing that you gotta do.
That is very true.
So
society does not have to agree. So like I said, we all have free will, and we're all able to do what we want to do. I do feel like if that's what you want to do, for one, you have to be in an area where I feel like it is legal. Because like I just read to you, like polygamy, the U.S. just they made sure Utah was not. Practicing it.
I'm just saying, it's legal as hell.
The U.S. made sure that Utah wasn't practicing it, and they wasn't even able to be a part of the U.S. Until they stopped that practice. So I don't know where it will be legal to do so. I think people who are already in it are able to be in it because it was already done beforehand. But I don't think no one is still living this from the 1860s. So
nowadays people do it without it being like having it being wise. Right, so back then you could marry multiple women. I'm assuming because
before it became law,
you can marry multiple women. So now people do it. It's just that's their girlfriend, or you know, or if it's real polygamy, you can, like, it's like an open marriage. So people do that so long as your
Which are
spouse is
swingers.
not,
That's pretty much what they are.
so long as your spouse isn't consider it cheating and both of you are happy and both of you are given, like, you're fair. Okay, it's not just you're the man, you can do all this and you go out. You also, because I know men who are like, yeah, I'm okay with, I don't understand it, but they're okay with it because they're fair. And I do respect that. You know, I do respect that. I'm sorry for my list. I got my liners in my mouth. But I do respect the fact that even as a man, that you're okay with your lady talking to other women because you have that liberation and you give that to her too. That's fine. You know, like how Will and Jada, people want to say, oh, Jada cheated on Will. First of all, Will and Jada have an understanding about their relationship.
Yeah, they came out and made it seem like it was just because of issues that she had strayed. But I really feel like they may have just an understanding. And Will tried to play they tried to play like PR on their relationship because they had this good look about their relationship.
But they've always low-key had an open marriage.
Yeah, and but they didn't make it seem like that. In the Red Table Talk, they didn't make it seem like that.
I mean, because August was just being awesome. He was doing too much. Okay, be careful the people you be.
And see, that's what I mean when you bring people into situations that they're not supposed to be in,
and they're not emotionally stable for something like that.
That too, but when you open that door, you allow emotionally unstable people to come in because. To me, I feel like you cannot really, and this is just my opinion, don't nobody like get mad about it, but I don't feel like you can genuinely love yourself if you allow yourself to be put in a situation where you know this is a union between two people and you're not going to get anything out of it really because that person is really not going to leave that person for you. In most cases,
they went together though at the time.
But no, they say that. That's why I said they went on this PR move at the Red Table Talk talking about they were going through something and they went together. I don't believe that. I just think they have an understanding and it's an open relationship and they probably did. And if that's what y'all doing, don't play. Everyone already is talking about it. So don't act like y'all don't have an open relationship. If you got to understand it, just say, yeah, we got to understand it. Don't be trying to make it seem like
I think they had an open relationship. However, they were true. Like, just because you have an open relationship and y'all have an understanding, don't mean that problems disappear. So I feel like they genuinely had problems to the point where it was more than an open relationship. They were tired of each other. They were genuinely done with each other. So when they separated, whether it was just, by mouth and not legally, of course, I mean, they were already liberal people. So now I'm doing me. So I don't think it was a matter of August coming into a situation with two people. Jada said she was done. They both said they were done with each other. Now, these people have been together for forever.
Yeah.
So them coming back together and, her still having this situation. I mean, it is what it is. He was doing, you think he wasn't doing him? It's just because August want to sing like a bird.
But that's my thing, though. Will tried to make it seem like he tried to make it seem like in that interview
his ego was hurt.
He tried to make it seem like that they didn't have a open situation at all. They made it seem like it was just because they were having issues is the reason why they allowed her to do her thing. When really that wasn't just. I
think it hit different because when they were together, August came in as someone they were both helping.
Yeah.
And it probably just hit a little different.
And he was actually a friend of their son. Yeah.
So it probably just hit a little different. And at the end of the day, when I watched it, I just, I appreciate their growth and their maturity. I think he was just hurt. His ego got a little touched. As open as he want to be, come on now. We're all human beings. And
that's why I say that. Like, don't put yourself in this situation because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all want to feel that we all want companionship. We all want love. But if you don't feel like you're strong enough to handle a situation like that, then don't do it. Just to close this out, because I do have one more topic to speak on very briefly. Just directing this to the person who asked me about polygamy. If you want to do it, think about, and this is my life coach advice I'm about to give you right now, because the stuff we were just talking about were just, pretty much just, yeah. So me personally, I just feel like figure out the place that it's coming from, the reason why you want to be in a polygamous relationship. Is it coming from a place of self-pleasure? Or is it coming from a place of culture and religion? Now, maybe I should have asked you what your religion is, or, and I know you're African American. I mean, I know you personally, so I never known you to be the type of person that had a religion or was within a culture that practiced that. So figure out what place it's coming from. Search within to determine if it's coming from a healthy place that you want to decide to be in a polygamous relationship. Because sometimes we, especially with men, and I will see this more with men, because women, you're not going to hear this a lot. Most women are okay with having their one man, and they good with that if they're happy with them. But I mostly see it with men where they don't feel like they can be with one woman all their life. But that right there comes from unhealthy place.
Another place, right?
Yeah, that because if you have self-discipline,
place.
Yeah, if you have self-discipline, you definitely would be able to be with one woman. And yeah, no one's perfect. People do make mistakes. There's guys that cheat. Now, some women are willing to stay in a situation. Me personally, I'm not. But I do think that if you have self-discipline and you put in your mind that this is what I'm going to do, be with this one woman and be monogamous. And also if you choose right, because sometimes if you don't trust yourself, that's the reason why you think that, hey, I can't be with one woman, because you don't trust the type of woman that you're going to choose. And if you don't trust yourself,
some people settle.
Yeah, if you don't trust yourself, you're going to choose the wrong woman. And then that's the reason why you end up divorcing. So make sure you're choosing from a good place and search within yourself. Once you learn yourself, you're going to choose.
Because if you choose the right person, you should have everything in one. You shouldn't want to go nowhere else.
Exactly. And that's facts.
We as people also need to just learn satisfaction. You know what I'm saying? Don't settle, but learn to be satisfied in what's good. Because you're not perfect either. You're not perfect either.
No one.
So,
and they have to deal with you. They have to deal with the person that you are. So, and they, in most cases, and because I had an ex that told me, like, because he told me, but women cheat too. I was like, yeah, but we might cheat and probably get away with it, yeah. But more men cheat than women still. So regardless, yeah, women do cheat.
If the women who cheat got caught, y'all would still top us, okay? So that's it.
Definitely.
And it don't make it right. It's not a woman or man.
Yeah, it doesn't make it right.
Like,
because I don't agree with women cheating.
Be by yourself, and then it's not considered cheating.
Exactly.
Life hack.
That's stupid, but that's true. So, take that advice how you want it. Chew the meat, spit out the bone, whatever. Take it for what it is. So the next topic I wanted to talk about was the person brought up how to move on from past hurt, from relationships. So whether it's friendships, family, romantic relationship, everyone doesn't know everything about knowing how to move on, because people really, and this is the key, forgiveness. Just point blank period. Because if you forgive, you more than likely won't be triggered by any of the trauma it caused you, any of the hurt it caused you. You pretty much will be able to heal from forgiveness, and everything else will follow. So yeah, like I had a lot of trauma from my childhood growing up with my dad. I had a full-blown conversation with him like a couple weeks ago, like I told you guys in my last video. And, that didn't make me heal completely, but it definitely helped me forgive the situations that had happened with with him. So I think you have to understand, because there are certain levels and different levels to violations, and you have to determine for yourself what you are willing to not just forgive, because you can forget a situation and not forgive it, because people be like, oh, I don't care, because they forgot it. But then if somebody brought it up to them, they'll still be mad about it. So you have to, I think you don't have to forget, but you have to forgive. Yeah, because
there was a lesson there.
Yeah, exactly.
That you got to keep.
Exactly. That's correct, because you have to be able to set those boundaries for that person. Now, if you decide to keep them in your life, you definitely need to forgive and make sure you set those boundaries, because you can't forget anyways. It's in your memory. You can't forget nothing. You might not remember it in that moment because you done moved on. Like, say you broke up from somebody and y'all just moved on. Like, yeah, you're going to forget it, but if somebody bring it up to you, it might still be triggering to you because you haven't forgave it and healed from it.
It's a part of you.
It's
now a part of you.
Exactly. It's a part of, it definitely is a part of your life.
But you have the most important person to forgive is yourself. You being there is a factor. Don't blame yourself for someone's, negative impact, but being there, not also abiding to your own boundaries and limits, is something that we don't realize, but you have to forgive that in you. Like, why did I let this happen for this X amount of times? Why did, you know what I'm saying? And it's not to beat yourself up. Just forgive yourself for not knowing better, not doing better, right? But now that
it's not always about the other person.
It's and even though they could be dead wrong, right? But you was there, like, and the only control you had is you. Why did I go through this? Because I was in it. I put myself in there. He didn't beg you. I mean, even if he did, you don't have to abide by that.
To your head and tell you to stay.
And even if he did, call the police. No, but you have a choice whether to walk away or whether to deal with something, and that's what affects me the most. That somebody else could be so wrong, but the fact that I allowed this, like, who am I really gonna get mad at? You know, myself, and I always forgive myself. And then once I forgive me, I forgive them. You know, I'm not gonna force you to love me how I want you to love me. I'm going to see how you love and decide whether I want to deal with this or not. And you choosing to deal with stuff, you choosing to deal with stuff is your fault. Okay? And you can't wait around for an apology from someone else. You'll never get it.
No, you can't.
So apologize to yourself. Forgive yourself. And then that helps. If they give you an apology later on down the line, then that's a plus. Yeah. But you have to forgive yourself and move on.
Exactly.
That's how you move on. Don't wait for them. They did this, is their fault. Yes, and they're terrible. And that person is toxic.
Exactly.
Right? But there's this much. If he did this much, you're responsible for it.
And I think a lot of that, people don't notice that the reason why they are so hurt and traumatized by the situation is because they're embarrassed that they allowed themselves. It ain't really always about that person. It's because you're embarrassed that you allowed yourself to be put through something by somebody because that's how I felt with my last relationship. I told y'all, I was on an ego trip because I'm like, how did I allow this man, that somebody I would never really deal with like that?
I gave you a chance.
I gave you a chance because I felt like I don't want to be that person that thinks that's shallow and, only deals with people only for looks. So I dealt with that situation because I'm like, hey, maybe I'm overlooking certain type of men. And so let me try this type of man out. And he was I'm not going to say he was horrible 100% because I would have chose to be with him if he was a horrible 100%. But there were things that made us not equally yoked. And so because I still entertained the situation and allowed it to go on, and I knew there were moments where I should have just let it go, God allowed me to feel that hurt. And so now, because I did that and I allowed myself to go through that and God allowed me to feel that hurt, now I have to figure out how I'm going to move on from it. And so I had to forgive him and forgive myself. And then I had to sit back and learn the things that I needed to work on to move on from that so that this would not happen again to me. So moving on, first, I would say take forgiveness. And then you have to learn the different levels of violations. Is it worth you moving on completely from the person or just moving on from the situation and setting those boundaries with that person? Just figure out what level you would set it on and figure out how you would move on depending on the situation. So the person that asked me to talk about this, I wish you would have gave me a specific situation, and going forward, guys, I would prefer you give me a specific situation so that I can give you a life coach lesson on that situation because it would help me understand why you want that information on how to move on because every situation is different. Everything is not the same. You're going to have different experiences with different people. I would say with all situations, all across the board, forgiveness is the key to how to move on from situations so that you're not carrying it with you, that trauma with you to every situation in your life.
And I think you made a perfect point with the level. Lately, I have been working on, I typically don't like to burn bridges, because it should never be that deep. If we as adults understand that we're not really each other's people, because as you go through life, you'll find your people for you, right? You'll find excess that aren't for you, but you come across, right? That's okay. Let's have a grown-up conversation about how, this isn't working. Everything don't have to be a bad breakup, okay? It's gonna hurt regardless because you still shared moments in time and space with someone, right? But it don't have to end badly. So figure out the level. So if you need to love this person at a distance, if you need to just forget and let them be, or if you just really like, no, this person is terrible. They violated me. They violated me. I can forgive you down the line, but I don't want anything to do with you. Okay?
And it's okay.
That's okay. But also, we don't need to always burn bridges. It's okay
That's
to
true.
talk things through and be like, look, I love you, and I know you care about me to a certain extent, or however, you know what I'm saying? This isn't working. We know we kind of done with each other, but there's no animosity,
Yeah.
Like, if I see you outside, I might say hi, and I might not, but it's okay because I don't wish you ill.
And let me tell you guys something. Like, okay, now that she's speaking about that, guys, I've seen my ex in the gym a couple times. And I'm not going to run up to him and say hi. It's no ill feelings, but I'm not going to run up to him and say hi because he broke up with me. But he purposely came into the same gym room. The first time he seen me, we were in like an open area. So it was like he was close by, but it was more people in between us to where it wouldn't have felt awkward. But then the second time I seen him, he came in the same isolated room as me, knowing I was right
and
there.
Not grown.
And then gonna work out right beside me. Like, and I guess I don't know if he wanted me to say something to him. And I mean, I might be kind of a little petty too. But
But you don't go out of your way to be petty. Like,
I'm not about to say anything or do anything to you. I'm gonna allow you your space to work out. If I would have seen him in that room and it was me like the other way around, I would have just allowed him to work out. And then I would have came in there after. I would have did what I need to do in the other part of the gym and came in after. So I wouldn't have made it awkward. And of course, I'm not going to feel no stress in my chest, like, because I don't still want him. But it's just that, I've moved on. And because I'm still in my healing process, not from the relationship, but for other things, I realized that in the past, when I entertained foolishness, and especially with exes, things didn't I pretty much welcomed certain things back into my life that I didn't need to. So even if I don't want him no more, I don't want to entertain the idea of a friendship. I don't want to entertain any idea that I still want him in my space, because at this point, you're a figment of my imagination. You're in my past. So it's no ill feelings. It's no hurt feelings. It was at first, but now that I've forgiven myself and I realized the place it was coming from with me choosing him, and which was in a healed place, now I'm able to recognize, like, okay, let's move on. So for him, I don't know why he did that, y'all. That was the most hilarious thing ever. Like, I think he just wanted me to speak first. And I mean, if he would have spoke, I wouldn't have said
right, because we're done and I'm okay. So if you want to speak first, say something. You know what I'm saying? All you wanted was a high for me to feel validated. I'm not about to go around just validating people's ego. You know what I'm saying? But it don't cost me nothing.
So we kind of going on a tangent away from all the message, but this is some good information you guys could use in your situation. Whatever you have going on. So for the person who asked me about how to move on, I would just say, learn the value of forgiveness and how it works for you and the other person. And if you're going to keep the person in your life, set those boundaries. That if they're going to still be around, that they're not able to still inflict that same pain on you that they did before. So, and if you want to move on from a person and don't want them back in your life, you can just X them out of your life and move on without having ill feelings because you forgave them. And not saying we're all human, you don't have to forgive them in that moment, but just know how to move on from you. If the violation was at a certain level that you cannot stand, then just keep it moving. But if it wasn't anything that you feel like is going to kill you and you know that you can get over it eventually, then, just, figure out what you want to do from there, communicate with that person and set those boundaries. But guys, thank you for listening to my video. You can, and Dream did a good job today.
I did.
She really
I ain't
did.
say no curse words. We talked about this.
Yeah, we did talk about
My vocabulary is not that big, y'all. So, it's whatever.
Yeah, it's okay. We're all a work in progress. So, guys, thank you for listening to my video. You can find me on mymentor.life at Rochelle Demetrius. I'm going to put all the information in the description box down below. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Please subscribe, guys. This is a journey for me. I'm being very vulnerable with you guys and sharing some very valuable information for the free. So all it takes is a like, comment, or subscribe. That don't cost nothing. YouTube, you got it for free. So, just help us out, and I really appreciate, the continued support. And until next time, guys, bye.